started, recognized Dr. Perlin, Dr. McGinnis, Dr. Tuxson, and Dr. Pronovost for allowing this session to happen and their leadership to provide a space for new voices and ideas, and I really appreciate that. And then, of course, to the attendees here to come so far from Silicon Valley and Seattle and across to come in and share their thoughts. Yeah.
Metro Center.
So the next slide, please. So I'd like to draw our attention to collaboration and the power of collaboration. We all know the saying, united we stand, divided we fall. And thanks so much. And when if we work together, it is clear that we can make progress. And the idea here is that my goal today here for this group and for this last talk before we open up is to provide a collaborative framework that will help us all work together and stand together. So the next slide here, let's see. So as an engineer, we love to take big problems and divide them into different pieces, find the weakest link, make it stronger, and then try to put it back together. Right? And so I'm a dad, I have kids, and when I see my kids breaking their toys and trying to put them back together, I say, oh, there's an engineer in the making. Right? So if we take a look at healthcare from that engineering view, we break it up into I would say, healthcare interoperability. There's just 3 sections or different parts that we can take a look at. One is standards, specifications, APIs, and the third is the reusable industry-supported software. If you look at the first 2, we have done an awesome job. Huge investment, doing it for years, well-supported programs. If you look at the third aspect, that is where, if you look at the amount of investment and thought process, it doesn't measure to the first 2. And so we see that maybe as a weak link. Now let's compare this to other industries that have a lot of interoperability, right? We could say, and you look at, they have standards, they have specifications, APIs. Joshua kind of mentioned that. We don't really pay attention to them that much, but they're there. They're actually there, and they're quite important. But if you look at the third part, where we have reusable, industry-supported, collaborative software, it dwarfs, in terms of man-hours and investment, the 2 required steps above it. And that could be a signal for healthcare interoperability to maybe improve that third link of reusable software. The advantage of collaboration is that it also helps us broaden our view of interoperability. It helps us take the perspective of the patient, the consumer, the patient, the family, and the continuum of life, not just care. Imagine a world where only Samsung phones talk to Samsung phones. If you're on the Verizon plan and live in Texas, would that work? Well, it didn't. It doesn't. And it doesn't. Of course, that wouldn't work. So, all the phone guys figured out how to make it so I can pick up the phone here and call anyone in the world, regardless of device, regardless of their payment plan, regardless of what language they speak. And the same thing with credit cards. Coming together and building a shared software infrastructure is an open secret. Everybody's figured out, and the technology world, that by doing this, we can reduce cost and accelerate innovation. Everybody's doing it. Further, coming together and working and collaborating on shared resources has provided disruption and further advancement in a number of industries, and repeatedly. Here's an example of the semiconductor industry where I used to belong, where there's only literally 2 companies in the world that can afford their own factory. The 1,000+ other chip companies, if they didn't work together, they would be dead. And we'd be left with Intel and Samsung. And that would be a world that would not have the iPhone or the other Fitbits that we have today. So as I close here, the question is, we heard from the technology vendors here that it does work. Working together and building software. I think there's also discussion about how competitors can work together to build this shared software infrastructure and then add their value with just adding the top application. And so that's one of the ideas that I would like to leave you with and open the discussion with. And the question is not, will interoperability happen? We know interoperability will happen. It has to happen. Everybody wants their own data. Everybody wants their own personal cloud. They want to share it with whoever they want and when. The question is, when we will make it happen. Are we the ones that are going to make it happen, or are we going to wait for someone else to do it? And I mean the people in this room, and the leaders in this room. Because if we do, we know we will build a safer and better healthcare system for us. And so I appreciate your time.